The final vote, Captain Marcus Vega stood alone in the observation deck of the UE's Retribution, watching the crimson glow of distant nebulae paint the void in blood. Behind him, the emergency council session played on every screen across the ship. 347 alien species had gathered in the Galactic Senate chamber, their bioluminescent forms creating a grotesque light show of unity. Unity against humanity. The Zephyrian Chancellor raised his crystalline appendage, his voice echoing through quantum translators across 1,000 worlds. The motion stands before us clear. Humanity has violated the sacred accords of non-interference 17 times in the past solar cycle. They have weaponized trade routes, militarized rescue operations, and turned diplomatic missions into intelligence-gathering expeditions. Marcus watched as species after species cast their votes. The Veltar with their writhing tentacles, the stone-faced Gorvani, the ethereal Luminari. Each vote felt like a nail in humanity's coffin. The humans had fought alongside many of these species, bled for them, died protecting their colonies from the void swarm incursions. Yet here they stood, condemning Earth and all her children to exile. Lieutenant Commander Zara Blackthorn entered the observation deck, her face pale. "Sir, the final tally is in. 347 votes for exile. 0 abstentions. 0 votes against." She paused, her voice barely a whisper. "We're alone, Captain." Marcus turned to face her, his weathered features showing no emotion. But Zara had served under him for 8 years. She could see the storm brewing behind those steel-gray eyes. "What are your orders, sir?" The captain walked to the central command console, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Execute Protocol Omega-7. Contact all human. Vessels, colonies, and outposts. Tell them the Senate has spoken." He paused, looking out at the stars that would soon burn. "And Blackthorn?" "Send a message to Admiral Chun back on Earth. Tell him it's time to remind the galaxy why they used to fear the dark between stars." As the Retribution's engines roared to life, Marcus spoke softly to himself, echoing words his grandfather had. Told him about old Earth wars. They wanted to erase us from their perfect galaxy. They forgot that we humans have a saying. He smiled, but it was the smile of a predator. "If you strike at the king, you better not miss." The ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it the seeds of galactic reckoning. In 72 hours, 347 species would learn why humanity had survived every extinction event their homeworld had thrown at them. They would learn that exile wasn't punishment for humans. It was liberation. The engineers. Gambit Chief Engineer Tobias Kane descended into the bowels of Nexus Station Alpha, humanity's greatest achievement in space construction. The massive orbital platform had taken 30 years to build, stretching across 40 kilometers of reinforced titanium and quantum steel. It wasn't just a space station. It was the central hub for every major hyperspace lane in the Orion Orm. The alien species thought they owned the galaxy's transportation network. They were wrong. Every jump gate, every hyperspace beacon, every quantum tunnel bore the hidden signature of human engineering. Kane's father had designed the core systems. His grandfather had laid the first foundation protocols. 3 generations of Kanes had embedded humanity's fingerprints into the galaxy's nervous system. "Status report," Kane barked as he entered the central engineering bay. His team of 12 worked frantically at their stations, faces illuminated by streams of data cascading down their screens. Engineering specialist David Park looked up from his console. "All human-built infrastructure is responding to our override codes. Chief, 40,000 jump gates across 8 spiral arms. Every single one has our backdoor access." He grinned despite the gravity of their situation. Turns out being the galaxy's best engineers has its advantages. Kane nodded grimly. The aliens had made their choice. Now humanity would show them the true cost of that decision. Initiate the Cascade Protocol. I want every gate on a time-delayed shutdown sequence. Start with the Outer Rim territories. Work inward toward the core worlds. Across the galaxy, the first signs of chaos began to emerge. On Meridian Prime, a Veltar trade convoy found their jump coordinates rejected by the navigation network. In the Theta Centauri system, an entire Gorvani battle fleet discovered their hyperspace engines had been remotely locked down. Transport ships carrying millions of passengers suddenly found themselves stranded in the void between stars. Senior engineer Lisa Reeves approached Kane, her tablet displaying catastrophic failure reports from across known space. Sir, we're getting distress signals from 17 sectors. Medical supply runs to plague worlds, evacuation fleets from solar instabilities, even food shipments to colonies facing famine. If we continue this, millions of innocent civilians will die. Kane's jaw tightened. He thought of his daughter, serving aboard a reconnaissance vessel near the galactic rim. He thought of his wife, working as a xenobiologist on a mixed species research station. The Senate's vote had condemned them all. But he also thought of the Zephyrian children he'd helped evacuate from the Kepler disaster, the luminary civilians his people had rescued from the Void Swarm. The blood isn't on our hands, he said finally. Their own representatives chose this path. We offered cooperation. They chose extinction. He turned to address his entire team. But we're not monsters. Tag all medical and humanitarian vessels for emergency passage. Everyone else stays grounded until the Senate reconsiders their vote. As Kane activated the final sequence, he whispered a prayer his grandmother had taught him. The galaxy would burn, but humanity would remain human. That was the difference between them and the 347 species who had voted for genocide. Even in their darkest hour, they chose mercy where they could. The countdown began. 71 hours until the stars themselves would tremble. The Ghost Protocol DR. Nathan Cross had spent 15 years studying the abandoned Forerunner technology scattered throughout the galaxy. The ancient race had vanished millennia ago, leaving behind artifacts that defied conventional physics. Most species feared the technology, considering it cursed or dangerous. Humans, characteristically, had decided to figure out how it worked. Deep within the Cygnus research facility, Cross stood before humanity's greatest secret. The Prometheus array of Forerunner, construct the size of a small moon, hidden in a nebula, so dense that most sensors couldn't penetrate it. For a decade, human scientists had slowly awakened the ancient machine, learning its mysteries piece by piece. Doctor, we're receiving the activation codes from Earth Command, announced Research Director Emma Wolf. Her voice carried the weight of what they were about to unleash. The Prometheus array wasn't just a weapon. It was something far more terrifying. It was a reality engine, capable of rewriting the fundamental laws of physics within a localized space. Cross nodded solemnly. The alien species wanted to erase humanity from existence. They had no idea that humans had already found something that could erase them from reality itself. Begin the startup sequence. Target the Zephyrian core worlds first. Let's show the Senate what happens when they corner a species with nothing left to lose. The array hummed to life, its crystalline structures pulsing with energy that hurt to look at directly. Across space, impossible things began to happen. In the Zephyrian home system, the laws of thermodynamics suddenly became suggestions rather than absolutes. Starships found their engines producing energy from nothing, then overloading catastrophically as the universe tried to balance equations that no longer made sense. On the planet Veltara, gravity began fluctuating in random patterns. Cities built to withstand seismic activity couldn't adapt to forces that changed direction every few minutes. The Veltar, masters of biotechnology, watched helplessly as their organic ships began evolving in impossible directions, becoming creatures that existed in dimensions their minds couldn't process. Research. Assistant Jack Morrison monitored the chaos spreading across alien space. Doctor, we're getting reports from our embedded agents. The Garvani Parliament is requesting emergency negotiations. The Luminary Collective is offering full technological exchange for a ceasefire. They're terrified. Cross felt no satisfaction. In their fear, only grim determination. They had 3 centuries to accept humanity as equals. They chose to treat us as a problem to be solved. He looked at the readings showing reality breaking down across dozens of star systems. Continue the process, but keep it contained to military and governmental targets. Civilian populations are to be evacuated to stable space before we expand the effect. Dr. Wolf approached him, her face troubled. Nathan, if we keep this up, we'll fundamentally alter the nature of space itself in this galaxy. There might not be a way to reverse it. Cross considered her words carefully. The Prometheus array was the ultimate scorched earth tactic. If humanity couldn't live in this galaxy, perhaps no one should. But even now, with exile staring them in the face, he couldn't bring himself to commit genocide on such a massive scale. Set up quantum barriers around inhabited systems. Let them feel the chaos. Let them understand what we're capable of, but don't let it kill them. He paused, watching alien fleets flee in terror from regions where space itself had become unreliable. They wanted to vote us into extinction. Instead, they voted themselves into a galaxy where humans hold the keys to reality itself. The child's revenged 12-year-old Kevin Thorne was supposed to be just another human child in the Meridian Colony's education program. The Zephyrian-administered world had been humanity's attempt at peaceful integration with alien society. Kevin had been born there, raised among alien children, taught their values of harmony and collective decision-making. He was meant to be the future of human-alien cooperation. The Senate's vote had changed everything. Within hours of the exile, decree, Zephyrian security forces had moved to relocate all human residents to detention facilities pending their deportation. Kevin's parents had been separated from him during the chaos. He'd escaped through ventilation systems, using skills learned from playing hide-and-seek with alien children who could phase through solid matter. Now he crouched in the colony's central computer core, his small fingers flying across interfaces, designed for beings 3 times his size. What the Zephyrians didn't know was that Kevin wasn't just any human child. He was a prodigy, capable of understanding complex systems in ways that amazed even human scientists. They also didn't know that his favorite game was hacking into the colony's systems to play practical jokes. Today's joke wouldn't be very funny. Computer. Access administrative protocols, Kevin whispered, bypassing security systems with techniques he'd learned from watching his parents work. The Zephyrians had made a fundamental error in their understanding of human children. They assumed that, because Kevin was young, he was harmless. They didn't realize that human children learn through play, and Kevin's play involved breaking into systems that should have been unbreachable. The colony's life support, transportation, communication, and defense networks all ran through the central core. Kevin had mapped every pathway during his games. Over the past 3 years, now he began systematically shutting down every system that kept the colony running. Water treatment plants ground to a halt. Power grids fluctuated wildly. Transportation pods crashed into walls as their navigation systems received corrupted data, but Kevin's masterstroke was the communication array. Using the colony's own transmission equipment, he broadcast a message across subspace that reached every human ship and station in the sector. His young voice carried across the void with a clarity that made hardened soldiers weep. This is Kevin Thorne, age 12, speaking from Meridian Colony. The aliens took my mom and dad. They said humans don't belong here anymore. They said we're too dangerous to live near them. His voice cracked with emotion, but his resolve never wavered. They were right about one thing. We are dangerous. Not because we're violent, but because we never give up. We never stop learning. We never stop caring about each other. As Kevin spoke, he continued his systematic destruction of the colony's infrastructure. Emergency services failed to respond as their dispatch systems crashed. The Zephyrian administrators found themselves trapped in their government complex as the building's security systems locked down around them. To any humans listening to this, Kevin continued, they wanted to erase us because they're afraid of what we represent. We don't just survive, we thrive. We don't just adapt, we improve everything we touch. And when they try to destroy us, we show them what human ingenuity really means. The colony's main reactor began an emergency shutdown sequence as Kevin's virus spread through its control systems. Across the planet, similar scenarios played out as human children, thought harmless and naive, revealed the true extent of human potential. They had been learning, growing, and preparing without even realizing it. Kevin smiled as he initiated the final protocol. This is for Mom and Dad, and for every human they thought they could just throw away. We're going home now, but we'll remember who our friends were and who decided we weren't worth keeping around. The message ended as Kevin disappeared into the colony's maintenance tunnels, leaving behind a world in chaos and a clear demonstration that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their military. It was their children, raised with love and taught to never surrender. The last stand Commander Rachel Stone stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's most advanced warship. As the combined alien fleets approached Earth, 347 species had voted for humanity's exile. But when the chaos began spreading across their territories, they quickly formed a military alliance. If they couldn't remove humans peacefully, they would do it by force. The irony wasn't lost on her. For 3 centuries, humanity had fought alongside many of these same species against common threats. They'd shed blood together, shared victories, and built what everyone believed was lasting peace. Now those same allies approached Earth with weapons powered and shields raised, ready to commit genocide rather than admit they'd made a mistake. Fleet status report, Stone commanded, her voice steady despite the overwhelming odds they faced. Navigation Officer Carlos Rivera looked up from his station, his face grim but determined. Admiral, we have 47 ships of the line, 32 destroyers and 18 carriers ready for battle. The enemy fleet numbers over 2,000 vessels from 112 different species. The odds were impossible. Any reasonable military commander would surrender, negotiate for the lives of Earth's 8 billion inhabitants. But Stone had been chosen for this command precisely because she understood something the aliens had forgotten. Humans didn't fight reasonable wars. Open a channel to the enemy fleet, she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship. Chancellor Vexthoric's crystalline features gleamed with self-righteous authority. Commander Stone, the Chancellor spoke through quantum translators, your species has 48 hours to evacuate Earth and all human colonies. Submit to exile, and you will be allowed to depart peacefully to the galactic rim. Resist, and we will take this system by force. Stone smiled, the same predatory expression that had terrified alien diplomats for generations. Chancellor, I have a counter-proposal. You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleets from Sol System. Fail to comply, and we'll demonstrate why 347 species needed to band together just to feel safe fighting 47 human ships. Laughter echoed across the alien communication channels. The idea that such a small fleet could threaten their massive armada seemed absurd. They had forgotten the lessons of human history, The stories of Thermopylae and Bastogne, of small forces. They held against impossible odds. Your hour begins now, Stone continued, then cut the transmission. She turned to her tactical officer. Initialize the Soul Defense Matrix. Every asteroid, every satellite, every piece of space debris in this system just became a weapon. What the aliens didn't know was that humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for this exact scenario. Every human world, every station, every ship was connected through quantum entanglement networks. When Earth's children had spread across the galaxy, they'd taken with them the seeds of humanity's ultimate defense. As the alien fleets moved into attack position, space around Earth began to shimmer. Cloaked defense platforms emerged from hiding spots throughout the system. Asteroid fields revealed themselves to be disguised weapons platforms. The planet's moon split open like a flower, revealing the massive construction project humanity had been building for 50 years. Target their command ships first, Stone ordered. Let's see how well their alliance holds together when their leaders start dying. The Battle of Sol began with a flash of light that could be seen from Saturn. Humanity's weapons weren't just advanced, they were revolutionary, incorporating technology stolen, traded, or reverse-engineered from every species they'd ever encountered. Each shot was a masterpiece of engineering, each strategy a testament to 3 centuries of studying alien weaknesses. As the first alien ships exploded in brilliant pyres, Stone spoke softly to herself, echoing the words that would become humanity's battle cry in the wars to come. They wanted to erase us all. Instead, they've given us a reason to burn their galaxy to the ground. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as humanity showed the universe what happened when you cornered a species with nothing left to lose. The exile vote had been meant to end the human story. Instead, it had just written the first chapter of humanity's rise to become the galaxy's apex predator. The war for galactic supremacy had begun, and humanity intended to win it.